forward. Concord Career College submitted their declaration of intent to establish a new practical nursing program in South Haven, Mississippi. They have met the necessary steps and requirements to move forward to stage 2, but there are some recommendations regarding them being allowed to move forward. The next recommendation is Holmes Community College Practical Nursing Program, request to change or move from a pilot status hybrid program to a regular offer program. They graduated their first class in June 2020. Their NCLEX pass rate for this class was 100%, and they are requesting to move forward, but there are some recommendations regarding a remediation plan for their at-risk students. Also, Hines Community College requests to merge their NCLEX reporting codes for the following campuses: Rankin, Nursing Allied, and Vicksburg campus. The recommendation is that they be allowed to merge their smaller campuses, Rankin and Vicksburg, going forward. That is the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Burke. Does anybody have any questions for her concerning the report for the practical nursing education? If there are no questions, then I would ask for a motion that we accept the report and the actions taken therein.
I make a motion.
Okay, I have a motion, Ms. Jackson. I said it's a second from Ms. Stanford, Dr. Stanford. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Board business. Business Zoom meeting minutes from October 9th, 2020. Have a motion we approve.
So moved, Michelle Owens.
Motion, Dr. Owens, second.
I
Moore.
second.
All in favor? Motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Approval of the minutes from the special call Zoom meeting 11/13 of 20. Have a motion we approve. A motion, Ms. Jackson, second, Ms. Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Agree settlement proposal minutes from October 2020. Have a motion we accept. Motion, Ms. Moore, second, Dr. Stewart. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board hearing panel minutes, June 2020 and July 2020. Have a motion that we accept those minutes into the record.
So moved.
A motion, Dr. Owens, second. Ms. Jackson, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
And waive reading of names on motions. Have a motion we accept. Have a motion for Ms. Moore, second. Dr. Owens, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
carried. Future meetings. Agreed settlement proposals, February 9th, 2021. Disciplinary hearings will be February 10th and 11th, 2021. The business meeting will be February 12th, 2021 at 11:05. Just FYI, as far as the educational retreat, we have decided to move that to a future date to allow for the whole, hopefully, COVID thing to settle down some when the vaccines come out. The panel for the February meeting will be Dr. Stewart, Ms. Shirley Jackson, Ms. Nancy Johnson, and Dr. Teresa Stanford. Now we move on to our next part, legislation. Trey, you still there?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. Glad to be with everybody. Just wanted to start out by saying that we all know obviously the pandemic or the virus is unfortunately increasing. There's the legislature scheduled to come into session January the 5th. As of now, they're planning to come in and stay and work. However, that could, if the infection rate continues to rise and the number of cases, that could be modified. There's a possibility they could come in January 5th and recess to a later date like they did this year. Hopefully, as our president alluded to, things will settle down, but I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. This past Monday, the Joint Legislative Budget Committee come forth with its recommendations. And it generally 3% or a little over for some of the big agencies like Department of Mental Health, our universities and colleges, MDOC. Now, I will say we've been very fortunate. We've worked hard and appreciate the work of the board, Phyllis, and certainly Shan. And I have worked with the legislature, and they've been very good to us on our budget. Hopefully, that will continue moving forward. But the this is kind of a beginning point for the budget. There's like a 3% for some of the large agencies. They proposed 3+% reduction. The big issue I think I wanted to mention to you, and Phyllis, I haven't seen your agenda today, so I'm not sure if it's on the agenda but I did want to mention to the board, I recently attended a Senate public health hearing at the state capitol. Senator Hobb Bryant hosted this hearing. He's the chairman of that committee, very knowledgeable of healthcare issues. And the whole, and a good part of the discussion, there were other speakers, but was basically talking about the shortage of nurses, particularly RNs, during this pandemic. And I think you are all very well aware of that. I know y'all have had meetings. I think Phyllis and it served on a task force with the Hospital Association, IHL. There was a fairly lengthy discussion in this hearing regarding how best to address this in the short term. Now, the Board of Nursing was briefly mentioned. It was brought up that you guys were very quick to act to try to help last spring when the virus hit by, I think, Phyllis, extending a temporary license for those awaiting to take their boards or their licensure exam. There was some discussion about possibly having some extension of that if they failed the exam once, to proceed beyond that, not indefinitely, but maybe for some prescribed period of time. Senator Bryan and at least one other senator that spoke seemed to express some real interest in that, at least temporarily, to try to help with the shortage. The second path that was much more detailed in discussion was regarding clinical hours, educational hours. I think we had Dr. Hoover testifying from Hospital Association, who presented very well, as did Dr. McCroy from IHL, about how better, working with the schools of nursing at our universities and colleges and community colleges, how best to try and maybe provide more of their clinical time in a hospital setting or possibly clinical setting due to the shortage. There was quite a discussion about that. And I just wanted to make the board aware of it. I know, Phyllis, you and I have discussed it. Our board president and I had a discussion about it, but I wanted all the members to be aware, and I'm sure you've heard a lot about it, but it is something that the legislature, at least the Senate Public Health Committee, seem to have an interest in trying to address. And obviously the Hospital Association has a real interest in trying to staff those shortages. So I just wanted to make those points. Again, I had a good visit with Representative Donnie Scoggin this week, and we discussed some of the potential actions and course of action regarding full practice authority for the upcoming session. Thought we had a good discussion with that. Those discussions will continue, and we will continue to work on that. We'll keep the board apprised of any substantive developments on that. But at this time, Mr. President, that concludes my comments. I'll be glad to answer any questions anyone has.
Does anybody have any questions for Trey concerning legislature? Dr. Stewart.
Trey, this is Mary. Thank you for that report. And I wanted to, and we may be going to get into this at a later point, but since you brought it up,
Right.
the number of students or the number of graduates that would be looking at a second licensure attempt, was that information shared at the Senate hearing, or, and Phyllis may know that, but isn't it?
It was brought up as a possibility. I think Dr. Hoover mentioned that she had worked closely with the board, particularly our director and legal staff, on trying to formulate possibly some temporary solution to that. Of course, I understand clearly, as you do better than I, that we have to balance, public safety and that kind of thing with the additional help, which is certainly needed, but there's a balance there. But that was briefly brought up. Like I said, most of the discussion centered around, IHL, and I think Dr. McCroy and them were offering to try to do their summer intern type program they have in place and extending it, you follow me, to provide more immediate help now. And I think the Hospital Association was looking at something perhaps even broader to bring immediate help to the shortage.
Okay, thank you. Are we going to discuss this further, or is this the opportunity?
We can bring it up in a little bit, and I'll kind of inform of some information we found on that. Any other questions for Trey concerning legislation? All right. If there are none, thank you, Trey.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We'll move on to Executive Director report.
Morning, everyone. The Executive Director report. First of all, I want to wish everyone a joyous and happy holiday season. Be safe out there. The report for today is very short. The Board of Nursing retreat, as was mentioned, I think earlier, we are going to defer that. We normally have that in January of each year. We are deferring that to spring, later on in the spring 2021. At this point, it looks like it may be virtual unless there's a change in these numbers, but there's more to come on that, and we'll involve the board in that particular agenda. The other thing I wanted to bring up was the policy statement that was issued by the National Council on yesterday. It came out, the policy brief on the COVID-19 vaccine administration. I think you all received that via email, board members, on yesterday. That information has been sent to the public health officer in our state as well. And it is not confidential information. It is a policy brief dealing with the vaccine and the rollout and the nurses being able to administer the vaccine. As you know, our law pretty much states that nurses can delegate to other nurses medication administration. However, we are in an emergency situation, and there were some proposals or recommendations by National Council that, the states could allow something different upon the executive order by the leadership of the state to allow nurses to be able to delegate that authority down to CMAs and emergency medical technicians. So hopefully you've read over the policy brief, but it will be available, I think, on the website, and National Council did ask for this information to be distributed. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me later on that. The board will be closed for the holidays, December 24th and 25th, and also December 31st and January 1st. Those are the proclamations that were issued by the governor. And so we will honor those dates for holidays during the Christmas and New Year's season. We are continuing to work here at the Board of Nursing. Our doors are open, our offices are open. However, with the increase in the rise in numbers, the safety of the staff is of utmost concern, especially to me. And so we will be working a lot remotely. However, there will be people in and out of the office, and we will have staff available at the office. So if you need to see someone at the board, feel free. We are accessible via phone, email, and someone will be here to answer your calls. And if you need to come and make an appointment, please do so, because we only see people by appointment now due to safety reasons. But I just want to put that out there so people are aware. The other thing I wanted to bring up on the report was the Tri-Council for Nursing summit, virtual summit that I attended on last week along with Dr. Burks. It was virtual. It was a great summit. If you did not attend, and there was a statement from the Tri-Council for Nursing on the status of U.S. healthcare workforce during the COVID-19 pandemic. This council consisted of the American Association of Colleges of Nursing, ANA, AONL, NCSBN, and National League for Nursing. It was dynamic. A lot of lessons learned, a lot of things that they're working on as far as workforce issues. And they did talk about the vaccine and the rollout of the vaccine and who should be administering the vaccine. So that information also is available. I believe it's on the website for National Council because their public affairs office did distribute this information on yesterday as well. So with that being said, Mr. Chair, I think that's all that I have to bring forward today. Are there any questions for me?
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Anyone have any questions? If not, I'd ask for a motion. We approve Dr. Johnson's executive director. Ms. Jackson. Second, Ms. Culpepper. All in favor?
Aye.
And motion passed. Budget.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Budget analysis as of November 30th, 2020, a total of $786,000 has been dispersed to the schools of nursing for the ONW scholarship program. Continued expenditures within travel and supply lines continue to be below normal due to COVID travel restrictions and the fact that the bulk supply of our purchases are generally made at the end of the year. Other line item expenses are within normal spending levels for this point of the year. Revenue, although revenue is less than what was collected at the end of November during the last renewal cycle, the shortfall is $76,000. I do expect a high number of renewals at the end of the year, last minute renewals. I'll keep you all updated as that shortfall shortens. We'll perform a more detailed analysis if I do notice before the end of the year that's not closing at a fast pace. Cash for this year.
Got a thing trying to speak up.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, point of order. Mr. Chair, there are Dr. Hoover, Ms. Sanford from M&A, not Sanford, what is her name? Teresa Malone, thank you. And others are waiting in the Zoom room that was posted online. They don't have access to the meeting and they're wanting to have access. I just asked what contact do you have, and they said we are all waiting in the Zoom that was posted online.
Did everyone online understand? Basically, there are some people from the public that went to the link on the website and they are in a Zoom waiting room to get into the meeting. So we're trying to figure out that technical difficulty at this time. There's 8 people waiting to get in.
On this link.
Did Phyllis say she was?
At this time, I think it'd be pertinent to call for a short recess to see if we can resolve this situation.
I moved it, yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be a day if we didn't have an IT issue.
Well, while we're waiting, that was discussed in executive committee, the second pass attempt.
Good morning, everyone. I think we've got the right link now.
You're unmuted.
Okay, so we got to swap mics. No, just keep that one. Okay, just let one talk. Can the folks on the phone hear me? Or on the Zoom?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
outstanding. Good deal. Sorry for that technical difficulty. When we found out, we recessed and stopped where we were. So we'll continue on. Most of what we've done so far just deals with some reports. And I will back up after Shan finishes her budget report and ask for open forum for any comments from the public. But this time, Shan, would you continue the budget report?
Revenue. I think I covered revenue unless I need to go back over that. I can start with cash. Cash on hand, we currently have $5 million available. And that is a sufficient amount to cover us for 18 months of operational expense. The fiscal year 22 budget request, as Trey mentioned, the budget hearings will begin in January. We are considering increasing our budget request to cover increased fringe benefits as health cost premiums have increased for both employees and the agency. We are reviewing what those increases will look like and keep you all posted as the Department of Finance posts the updates of how much those increases will be. And that concludes the budget report. Do you have any questions or comments?
Any questions? Yeah, cut off. Only one of them works at a time. All right. Any questions, Shan, for the budget? If not, have a motion. We approve the budget report. Motion from Dr. Stewart, second. Shirley Jackson. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion. All right. At this time, we will back up since we had the problem earlier and go to the open forum. Are there any members of the public that are on the call that would like to make comments? All right, not hearing any requests, we'll move on to committee reports. Executive committee. Administrative denial, we had one. Would make a motion that we administratively deny license number R855565. Do I have a second? Second from Ms. Shirley Jackson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Would also ask, bring out a motion that virtual hearings be extended to the end of 2021. Have a motion from Ms. Culpepper, second. Ms. Moore, all in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
We do have one more from Executive Committee, and that would be to extend the emergency permits and licensure until July 1 of 2020. Excuse me, July 1 of 2021. Have a motion to extend those. Have a motion from Dr. Stewart, second. Jackson, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We're going down to Compliance Committee business.
Yes, I'm taking over from TJ today. Under compliance, we would like to make a motion that the board adopt the Compliance Committee's recommendation to approve the second request of license number R745198 for an extension on the final order requirements of 12 months.
We have that motion from Ms. Culpepper to approve that. Do I have a second? Second from Ms. Jackson.
Collins.
Sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries.
The next thing coming out of compliance is we move that the board's compliance committee approve adding nursing CE central to the board approved course topic guide.
Will you read that again?
I'm sorry, Teresa.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I move that the board's compliance committee approve adding a nursing CE central to the board approved course topic guide. That's in relation to educational courses that we can recommend. Dr.
Awesome.
Stanford.
I second.
Motion, Ms. Culpepper, second from Dr. Stanford. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That is all coming out of compliance.
Thank you. Oh. Advanced practice.
We have nothing to bring forward.
All right. Thank you for that. As far as other committee business, spoken to these, and there's really nothing to report out of the committees at this time. So there's not necessary to go through those. The Office of Nursing Workforce was handled at the initial with the report that Ms. Culpepper did for Mr. Taylor. Is there any other business before the board at this time? Yes, ma'am.
Just a brief update from the practice committee.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had you penciled in here and then forgot it.
It's really okay, Mr. President. No, just a quick update because we want this to stay at the forefront, which is the decision tree for practice, scope of practice. And so Dr. Burks has met with an ad hoc committee comprised of both staff, APRNs, and RNs and LPNs. And we expect to have a visual to bring forward, if not in February, by the next meeting. So we're super excited about progress.
Outstanding. That will be definitely, I believe, well received at the time and well overdue. With that said, is there any other business before the board? If not, have a motion, we adjourn.
I make a motion.
And I'll
Dr.
second
Stanford?
it.
We'll give that to Jan. Jan second. All in
Thank-
favor? All right. Motion carries. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
You too, Jan, everyone else.